Thank you for having me here. This is so exciting.
Thank you for coming. I'm so happy you're here. Let's talk about Kettle Cooked. What is Kettle Cooked?
Thank you for asking. Kettle Cooked is an idea that I had back in the fall of last year. I was laid off from my job after being there for 4 years. I found myself, unemployed. I was turning 30. I was just kind of like going through this moment where I was like, what do I want to do next? I've worked in events my whole career. Do I want to keep doing events? If I do, why? What do I like about them? What do I not like about them? So I just kind of sat and wrote out this list of like things I like and things I don't like. And I started really broad, and then I kind of got more and more narrow on like, first of all, just what do I like about life, just about like day to day. And then it was, what do I like about work or the jobs I've had? What do I like about, and then events and whatever. So I got more and more specific, and it kind of all came to this point where I found this common thread where I was like, oh, when it comes down to it, I want to hang out with my friends. I want to be around creative people. I want to discover new artists and performers. I want to tell my friends about those artists and performers and like experience them together. And then I'm also on the other side of that, I do love just like planning events. I'm just doing it all the time anyway, even when it's not for work. I'm just like, okay, when's the next trip I can go on? When's the next, experience I can share with my friends? So I thought, what if I kind of combine those two, and then I just started my own event series that did just that. And so Kettle Cooked was born from that idea. And so the whole premise of Kettle Cooked is that it's an event series where each event will focus on a different creative medium. So we've done stand-up, we've done a magic show, we're doing an improv show tomorrow. I've got music on my mind. I've got like an art gallery situation, potentially even film down the line. So that's kind of that's the premise of Kettle Cooked.
I love that you sat down and you made like a list. It sounds very intentional. You were like,
oh yeah,
I want to figure out what's important to me. Like, what do I really care about? Being with my friends, putting on these events. Mm-hmm. Was there anything you wrote on the list that surprised you?
I don't think I wrote anything that surprised me in terms of like, oh, I really like this or I don't like this, because I'm always kind of thinking about that and kind of like trying to live my life like on that path of chasing things that bring me joy and then removing things that don't do that. So for me, it was actually, it got emotional when I was able to draw that very clear thread, because it was almost like this aha moment where I was like, because I've thought before, I love singing, I love dancing, I love like being, theater, I love music, I love comedy, but I'm never the one really like on stage. I'm the one that's in the front row. But I have such a passion for it, and it's what I love to, share and do and support. And so it was kind of this weird aha moment that I was like, oh, why do I have these interests, and also the talents I have, which are the very like the event planning, logistics, type A, list making, spreadsheets making, that's me. I'm very like type A. And then I feel like creatives and artists are usually put in this box of like type B. They're more free spirited. And I was like, why am I like this? But I'm so drawn to this. And then through that list, I was kind of like, wait, maybe I can help support and elevate that with my gifts, if you will.
You started Kettle Cook. Mm-hmm. You're connecting these artists with your ability to event plan, giving them a platform. You wake up and you're like, okay, I'm going to start this project. Where do you even begin?
That's a great question, because for me, sometimes the idea just gets the idea is so big and intimidating that I need to like bring it back just to like, what's that first step I have to take? And that was very much what happened with Kettle Cooked. I was like, what do I even want to call this? Like that was kind of my first question. And so I spent some time just thinking, ideating, like writing down, again, more ideas, looking for inspiration. So it came down to that. And then once I had the name, I was like, how do I tell? I started talking about it too. I think that helped me with anytime I was like getting a drink with a friend and they were like, what are you up to? I started speaking it into existence before it was ever even like, I didn't even talk to any artists yet or venues. It was just like telling friends about it. And that kind of made it become more real. And then once I had this name and I was, sharing it, then someone was like, so when's the first one? And I was like, oh, soon, And then they're like, well, just make the particle. Just make the part of like, a lot of friends who do stand up, just like it can be stand up, make the particle, just tell people it's happening. And so that's how the first steps took place.
Wait, so you made the partyful and then you're like, okay, now I have to do this.
Yes, basically. I had a few Negronis with a girlfriend and she was like, make the particle tonight. And then it has to happen. And, it doesn't have to happen, but like mentally, I think you're like, oh, now I have something to work towards, time to start taking those steps, than just this idea that's like, this will happen eventually at some point.
You're like, this is real. There's a date.
Yeah.
People know it's happening.
Yeah.
I can't go back to people and be like, actually.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But wait, so Kettle Cooked is a really good name. How did you come up with that?
Thank you so much. I thought about it a lot and I was looking at other company names and brand names and creative agencies and production companies. And I was like, how do people come up with a name that they can commit to and build like a whole brand around? And a lot of people I saw a lot of like names, especially with event companies. It's like your initials or your last name or whatever. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to make it like Olivia Tedesco Events or Olivia Tedesco Productions or whatever, or OT. Not only because that's just not, I don't know how catchy or like rolls off the tongue that is, but I also didn't want it tied to me. I wanted it to be about like the community and the experiences. So one day, this idea just came into my head where in my group chat with my best friends from college, my name is Kettle Cooked because I love potato chips. That's where that comes from. I'm just like obsessed with chips. Any birthday, any housewarming, whatever. If my friends, they know to bring chips. If I'm not feeling great, they show up with Kettle Cooked potato chips. It's just a thing. I don't know. And so I thought about that and I Googled what Kettle Cooked even means because I didn't know. I just knew that it was like, I thought of, it's how you make these types of potato chips. So I Googled what does Kettle Cooked mean? What is this process? And the explanation I got was it's about the process of cooking the chips, where instead of made in these like large batches, like mass produced, they are cooked in smaller batches, which makes them crunchier, thicker, and more flavorful down the line. So I just had like a moment where I was like, wait, this is exactly what I'm doing. Where it's about like intimate, like small batches is like the key term here, where it's like small, intimate experiences where we're elevating just a handful of artists each time. I've been to comedy shows where, you see like 20 comics, perform and they each get a couple minutes each. But what I thought would be more impactful and what I was really trying to achieve through my events for the Kettle Cooked events is to elevate just a handful, give them more time. And then after the show, after the performance, everyone sticks around. We all hang out. We get to know each other. People connect. They feel like they know the comic a little bit more, or the singer, or the artist, or whoever it may be. And so yeah, this Kettle Cooked events just seemed like it was a good fit. And the alliteration doesn't hurt either.
I love it. It's small batch. It's intimate. I think it's perfect.
Thank you.
So you mentioned, hey, there are 20 comics. It's a lot of quantity, but how do we focus on quality? When you're putting together this event, how do you figure out who do I include? Like, spicy questions. What if you include someone who's like not good?
Yeah. So that's really important to me because if I'm, inviting people, promoting this, giving people this platform, I want to be able to vouch for everyone who comes through and be able, and art is so subjective and different people will resonate with different mediums and different artists. But this is more of like people that I've enjoyed and I think you're going to enjoy too. So it's really through people I've seen. It's through that's my one thing is like, I want to have been able to have seen each performer or artist. Someone even asked me the other day that he said, if you need me to just like build your lineup for you for future stand-up shows, I'm happy to do that. And I said, that's amazing. And I am sure that you have amazing connections. He's very much in the scene. But I want to be able to say like, no, trust me, this is one of like my favorite performers I've seen. They're great. So that's kind of how I build the list. I have a running spreadsheet. Again, back to the spreadsheets. I have like when this all started back in my ideating phase, I just wrote a list of every single creative human I knew or even didn't know, but thought like maybe they could be a good fit for this. And so I kind of blocked them out into like their different areas of expertise. And that's kind of how I built out my schedule, if you will, of like these people would be featured at these types of events and so forth. So I have a running list. I'm always looking to add more and discover more. And if someone doesn't make it in one specific event, like hopefully this just keeps going and then they'll be able to be featured down the line.
Okay, so you want to make sure everybody's Olivia approved. You want to make sure like, hey, this is a stamp of quality I can get behind. When you're organizing these events, like, what else goes into it?
Yeah, so these first ones I've done, they're all self-funded. And so they're all pretty minimal. They're not like the production isn't too crazy. And especially since I started them when I was unemployed or when I was doing freelance work, I was trying to be just smart about where I was putting my, where the dollars were going. And when it came down to it, I wanted to make sure the artists were compensated for their time as well. So venue obviously is first and foremost, like you need to have a spot to do it. And I have been really lucky that I've been working with some really cool venues that I've kind of explained what I'm looking to do. And our first venue that we did back in March, they just gave us their stage for free. And so I was able to charge a cover and then 100% of the proceeds went to all the artists that performed that night. And then I had like little other touches, like we did matchbooks, some branded giveaways. I brought in a ton of potato chips. So of course you had to have the Kettle cooked potato chips. With my second venue, we had the magic show. And so that just required a little bit more production behind it. So the venue did charge us a fee. So the money that was raised went partially to that. And then the rest went to our performer. So it's very much like the venues have been amazing. And I always go in person to meet them too, just because I'm sure they get a ton of emails and DMs regularly. That I want to be able to like meet face to face and explain like what we're doing, why it's important. And it's worked out really well so far.
It sounds like it's going very well. It sounds like there's demand for it. It sounds like the artists are happy. The audience is happy. Do you see this becoming full-time one day? Like becoming a business?
I'm not there yet. Who knows? The same girl who was like, make the party full tonight, what are you doing? She also asked me the question of, where do you see it in 5 years? And that just, again, a few Negronis in, I was like, I don't know. I haven't even gotten to the first particle for the first event. And she just really encouraged me to think about it on that scale of like, in 5 years, dream, what would it look like? And I thought about it, but what benefits me now is really just like, what's that next event going to look like? And I'm no longer unemployed. I do have a full-time job now. So while we're continuing the Kettle Cooked series, it is, we'll see what it turns into. And technically I have, less time, but I also now have more financial stability that I can start, like, again, self-funding, like I can maybe take it further. So who knows, Aiden? I don't know. Full time, maybe.
You did the thing that no one does, which is you start it. You're in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
You have an events company where you're getting the best comedians, the best magicians, the best artists together, and you're creating that sense of community. How did you get here? Did you always want to be an event planner? Where did this come from?
Yeah, great question. So I remember it was like 8th grade. I had this, I was in a class and my teacher gave us all an assignment where we had to choose a career path at 14 and just research it. Just go home and figure out what kind of education you have to have, how long that education takes, the salary, the starting salary that you're going to be looking at coming out of college, the salary you can be making, 20 years after that. She just wanted us to learn about a career that we could pick anything. So I loved rom-coms and I loved New York City, and put those two together. I was like, I'm going to be a wedding planner. Obviously, I'm going to look into that. And so I went home and told my parents, and my mom was like, that's so great. What if you looked into event planning instead of wedding planning? Because then you can do so much more, like so many different types of events. And I was like, that's so boring, Mom. Like, weddings are where it's at. Have you not seen 27 Dresses and The Wedding Planner and like all these movies? But I took her advice because, for the sake of the project, I was like, sure, let's look into this event planning business. So I did. And that was my first introduction to it as a career. And then the university that I went to, Northeastern, we do the co-op program, as you know. So every other semester, we work full time. We do these internships that are 6 months long. And we had the choice of just applying to any job that we want and figuring it out and seeing if it's what we want to do after college. So I did 3 of those internships. 2 were in events, and I was like, yeah, this is it, like solidified. That's what I want to do. So right after graduation, I knew I wanted to be in New York. I knew I wanted to be in events. And so I just applied for all these events gigs in New York and moved here the summer after graduation.
For event planning, what are the best parts about it? And what are the not so great parts about it?
Yeah. So for me, the best part by far is the people that I'm working with, because an event is an event is an event. Like, you can follow all the checklist. You can figure out what activations you're going to do. You can figure out what merch you're going to hand out, and that's all great. But problems are going to arise, and you're going to have to find solutions. And for me, the best part of it is when you find those people to work with who you can't wait to solve that problem with, or you love finding that solution, because then the problems don't even feel like problems. You get to just kind of figure it out with the people around you. And so then the hardest part is when that group around you, or the partners you're working with, or your coworkers or whatever, if you're not approaching it the same way, if you don't feel I've worked with people who it was more important to them to figure out why that shipment didn't arrive at the right time than it was to treat each other kindly. There are people out there who act like it's life or death, and it's the event's not going to be worse or any different if something doesn't arrive on you'll figure it out, right? So that's always the hardest part, is if there are people who act like that.
And with Kettle Cooked, you get to pick who you work with, so that's really nice.
Exactly. That's the fun part.
Do you envision bringing in a co-collaborator, someone to work with you on Kettle Cook? Or is it something where you're hey, this is great as me just kind of running the show?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I am working with collaborators, but it just changes by with each event. So like you previously mentioned, when I'm working with these venues on booking a space, I'm building those relationships with those partners in those venues, and then hopefully we can keep working together, even with the artists, especially with our magician, Max Davidson. Everyone go follow him on Instagram, Max Davidson Magic. he has been performing for years and years, and I really looked to him to like help direct what it was going to look like, because I personally have never produced a magic show before. So I was like, you tell me what you need, we'll work on this together. And we were very much in collaboration every step of the way, versus a show where I'm booking, 5 stand-ups. I can take the lead there and be like, hey guys, like, you all show up this time. This is how much time you get. But yeah, maybe down the road, maybe if there's someone who can bring their own spin on it, that would be cool.
So you're really deep in the creative world. What are some artists that you're just obsessed with?
Well, you've caught me at a very interesting time, because this isn't a Kettle Cook thing, but when it comes to what artist I'm obsessed with right now, I just saw the show Lost Boys on Broadway.
I saw it on your story. Oh my God, tell me more.
It's a movie from the 80s about vampires, and it has Kiefer Sutherland, and they just made it into a Broadway musical. I watched it this week, and it won a couple Tonys. It was nominated for like 12 Tonys, and it blew my mind, and it's all I'm listening to. And the cast recording isn't out yet. I think it comes out next week, but so I'm obsessed with that. That's the music I'm listening to. And then in the comedy world, I'm obsessed with, my friend Remy introduced me to this sketch trio called Montessori Boy, and they're hilarious. It's 2 guys and a gal, and I'm just consuming their content like crazy. They're a sketch group.
What kinds of sketches do they make?
Just unhinged. I'll send you some of their videos.
What's your favorite musical or play?
Oh my gosh. How could you do this to me? Well, my favorite musical of all time, it has to be probably Les Mis or Phantom, because that's what I was raised on. It was on all the time. We had, the albums in our cars. So like of all time ever, probably those. But in the last like 10 years or so, Hadestown. You saw Hadestown, right?
Oh, I love Hadestown. The music was so good.
I've seen it 4 times.
Oh my God.
It's the best. Like, I can't even put words to it. It changed my life. It's so good. It's so good.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
I've been very lucky to have so many amazing bosses, mentors, friends who have really guided me and helped me move through, career stuff and personal stuff and all that. There's so much I could say. I feel like there's a couple things that stand out, and it's nothing new, but for me, what's helped me is like obviously fake it till you make it. That's something that I deal with imposter syndrome a lot of the time. And that's such a mental thing that I've learned. Confidence can get you into a lot of doors. Confidence can get you through a lot of situations, even if it's not real. It's helped me like just believe like, okay, I'm just going to just say I know what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do. And then it ends up actually the only person I had to convince was myself that like, oh, I didn't really have to fake it. I did it. And then also, is this going to matter in 5 years? Like when I get stressed out or anxious about something, I'm like, I think down the road and I'm like, is this moment, is this situation, is this event, is this stressor is this going to impact me? Not even 5 years. Will I think about this a month from now? And that helps me kind of get centered again. So those are just a few things that stand out.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Tried and true for a reason. Have that confidence. And like you said, convince yourself.
Yeah.
Because how will other people believe you if you don't even believe yourself?
Yeah. Also, just do it. You can talk about it and have ideas, but take that first step, whatever that looks like. You don't have to have the whole thing figured out. You don't have to know what it's going to be, whatever this idea you have is. Like, and now, of course, I'm thinking back to, to Kettle Cooked. Or also, I did just, I wrote a script for it's like a short film or a sketch, but I sat down and I did it. And then I have been developing it with a couple of friends, but I was just talking to a friend who, because people are asking me like, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to film it? Is it going to be a play or whatever? And I get kind of like, I'm like, I don't know. And then another friend was just saying like, just whatever the next, what's the next thing you can do with it? Like get some friends together and you're going to read it. So just like take a step, and then you could figure out your next step. You don't have to have like it all figured out right now.
If people want to find out more about Kettle Cooked, either performers or people who want to attend the events, where should they go?
You can follow us at kettlecook.nyc on Instagram. That's our Instagram page where I'm posting our next event lineup. You can see, it's all in New York, but you can see where the next event's happening, and you can vote on like events you want to see. So like types of artists you want to see perform. I try to get feedback on like what people are looking to discover, and and then we obviously post like lots of photos from the events as well, so you can see what a fun time they are and sign up for the next one.
Thank you so much, Olivia. This was great.
This was so fun, Aiden. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show.